I'm Hannah, and I am the director of the research core for the Injury Prevention Center at Emory. It's iPrice. I'm going to be starting off our discussion today of different summer fellowships that are available to master's students through iPrice. And I'm going to be joined in this conversation by Liz Head at GDPH and by Ashley Singleton, who kind of holds all of iPrice together. Ashley, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, then maybe Liz?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Ashley Singleton. I am the iPrice program manager. Sharon Neeb is my supervisor, and she's the one that also helps me keep it all together. And I see some familiar faces, and welcome to some of our certificate students. And if you all ever have any questions or concerns about the opportunities that are discussed today or about the certificate program, or you just want to learn more about iPrice, feel free to send me an email. I'll put my email in the chat box.
Everyone, my name is Elizabeth Head. I'm the Deputy Director for Injury Prevention at Department of Public Health. While I work with our entire staff that manages injuries and injury prevention across the lifespan, my specialty focus is on aging and injuries. So 55 years of age and older, what happens with those populations and the programs that are available to them, as well as evaluating all of it, which is super fun. So happy to be here and have some conversations about opportunities.
Sharon, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Sure. I'm Sharon Neeb, and I am the program director for iPrice. So iPrice addresses the 5 top causes of injury and injury death in Georgia. And we have 5 task forces, one for each area of injury. And so those task forces help us address that and help us move forward in hopefully reducing injury in Georgia. And I see Jonathan just came on the line too. Jonathan?
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jonathan Roop. I'm the director of the Injury Prevention Research Center at Emory. I'm very excited to have you all here and learn about some of the summer opportunities that we have open for students. Want to really thank Hannah and Laura Donnelly for putting this together. And so we're really excited to tell you about all the great opportunities available.
And Lisa, do you want to introduce yourself as well? I could see you connecting and then losing the connection. I just want to make sure that you have a chance to introduce yourself if you can hear us right now.
Hi, y'all. My name is Lisa Dawson, and I'm with the Injury Prevention Program at the Georgia Department of Public Health. I'm also adjunct faculty in the Rollins School of Public Health. And I also have the really fantastic privilege of getting to work with Ashley and Jonathan over at the Research Center. Thank you.
Ashley, was there someone else who was going to be presenting? You said another name.
No, this is it. Yep, okay, you're good to go.
Lovely, lovely. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And again, please just speak up or put a note in the chat whenever you have questions, just as they arise. And let me get us to the very beginning. I'll try to get this into screen share. I just have so much trouble when well, you know what? It's just not going to be screen share. The full slideshow. I apologize for that. So welcome to the iPrice student information session on our summer placements. We're so delighted to have all of you here. I thought I would start with just a brief overview of iPrice. Again, that stands for the Injury Prevention and Research Center at Emory. So I'll start with a brief overview of that. And then we have 4 recording in progress. We have 4 fellowships that we are going to be talking about today. We'll tag team on describing them because they're headed up by different folks. So iPrice, for those of you who don't know, for those of you who might be not be in the certificate program, for example, we really exist in order to address the top causes of injury and injury death within the state of Georgia, of course, within the broader southeastern region and beyond. And we try to do that by doing thoughtful, impactful research, education, and outreach. And what you're seeing today is actually part of our educational outreach, right? We're trying to make sure that we're reaching out to trainees and building up skills around injury prevention research among students. We're funded by the CDC, so we have that distinction. We're part of a much broader national network of injury prevention centers. So I'll start with the discussion of the Summer Injury Research Fellowship, or SIRF. This is our second year, so we're really delighted to be pulling this together. The SIRF fellowships are co-funded by Spark at Emory. Spark at Emory is the Rollins program on substance use disorders, and we really exist to try to reduce drug-related suffering in Georgia and beyond. And also to support excellence in research and also excellence in training around ending epidemics of drug-related harms. We started SIRF, as I said, a year ago, and the purpose has been to actually organize a 10-week summer-long paid fellowship for students who are interested in advancing careers in studying injury and injury prevention. And, in this particular fellowship, we're really looking for fellows. We'll have 2 fellowship slots. We're looking for fellows who are willing and ready to dedicate their summer to completing an injury prevention project, either with a non-governmental agency or a governmental agency in the state of Georgia. Now, note that this year, both of our opportunities are with GDPH, which I think is a real strength of this particular fellowship. You work full-time throughout that 10 weeks, and you have 2 mentors. You'd have a agency mentor, and then you would have an Emory faculty mentor. I suspect that Emory faculty mentor would be me. And what we do is, in addition to having the full-time placement, you also would be meeting with the other fellow or fellows every couple of weeks to share reflections on the placement, to raise up any challenges, to think about the implications of this particular fellowship for your long-term career trajectories. Maybe you find that it's a great match. And so this is like an opportunity for us to come together every couple of weeks and say, well, how can we maximize this to get you on the right trajectory, the right professional trajectory after you graduate? Maybe there are ways to continue this particular collaboration, for example. We always try to develop fellowships in SIRF that will generate a particular deliverable. So we really want you and we want your placement to culminate with a paper, with a report, with something that you both the placement site and also the trainee can show to others as kind of a mark of the accomplishment that may kind of be the culmination of your experience. To be eligible, you have to be a full-time master's student with a strong academic record and at least 1 semester of coursework remaining before you graduate. So if you were going to be graduating in the fall of 2021, you would be eligible at any time after that. We do ask for people who have already gotten either some training or have some work experience in injury prevention. We want to make sure that this is going to be the right fit and that you're bringing assets and resources to your placement. So it's a training opportunity for you, but we are looking for people who would come into the placement with some kind of foundational relevant knowledge. We've been around for 2 years now, and we wanted to just share a little bit of information about the kinds of placements that we had last year, just to give you a sense of what might be possible moving forward. So last year we had 3 fellows, Madeline Worsham, Carolyn Bayer, and Olivia Capera. Madeline was working with GDPH's injury prevention program, which you'll hear more about in a moment. And one of her goals was to actually work with the Child Passenger Safety Training program at GDPH. And she was developing the implementation section of the Georgia Child Passenger Safety Tools Implementation Guide. So that was her deliverable, was a section of this state guidance. Carolyn Bayer was working with the drug surveillance unit within GDPH, and she was really involved in developing a public-facing dashboard on the opioid epidemic in Georgia. She also had a hand in developing a paper on best practice practices for these public-facing dashboards. These dashboards are becoming increasingly utilized, and so she and her team wanted to identify best practices so that other public health departments could actually put together the most effective dashboards possible. Olivia Capera worked with the Medical Association of Georgia, and there she was working on map providers within the state, and she created a map that showed where the buprenorphine providers were in the state of Georgia using geomapping. So those are just examples of what's possible. We have two possible placements this year. One is with vehicle injury, and the other is with drug and overdose surveillance. And so I think I'm going to turn this over to Liz Head to talk about, or Lisa Dawson, to talk about the vehicle injury. We have a couple of slides here on the overall injury prevention program. And then, we can go over those slides, or you can take this in whatever direction you'd like.
Sure. Lisa, do you want me to handle this one, or do you want to do it?
No, go ahead.
All right, so thanks so much. I appreciate the time. So we are located within the Division of Health Protection at Department of Public Health. We want to prevent injuries by empowering professionals across the state. We do that by providing with data, training, leadership, all types of technical assistance. We work to leverage resources for prevention programs around the state. Injury prevention is 100% grant funded. So everything we do is to leverage work that is already there to further it, to take a systems approach and using evidence and education in our networks to really bolster and push forward the work that's already happening across the state. Our vision really does center around having a state where injuries and their burdens are minimized through these empowerment techniques and work. And quite frankly, something that's not in a vision that I might actually need to readdress is we really look to develop injury prevention and public health professionals. That is our goal. That is our greatest joy to do that. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. Some of our main functions include, again, as I said, providing technical assistance and program evaluation, providing data. We want to provide safety equipment where is needed. Primarily, we do that through our Safe Infant Sleep program, providing bassinets, providing child passenger safety seats through our child occupant safety program. We want to give knowledge on how to properly use that equipment, not only to the caregivers that ultimately use those pieces of equipment, but also to the professionals that are illustrating for parents and families how to use that equipment. And generally speaking, we like to provide support to coalitions across the state to promote safety and healthy lifestyles, recognizing, of course, that on injury from birth to injury through our very oldest of our population, there are a whole lot of shared risk and protective factors there that impact everyone. And so we have a lot more opportunities to partner on different focus topics because we take a shared risk and protective factor approach. And we're really excited to bring another person on. We absolutely adored Madeline. Sure, those seem like two tiny little bullets that she had for her section. Y'all, she did so much more. We actually wound up extending her time. I don't know that there was not a topic that she did not help us with. We try for our interns and practicum students to get a practical overview of what injury is like in terms of some of the administrative tasks. Folks may not be there to file, but by gosh, you're going to understand why and how we do the things that we do, because none of our program managers could do the work that they do without understanding those processes. And then really seeing public health in action and putting to test all those theories that we see in school for so long. And we're like, how does that work? Well, we can tell you how the social ecological model works. We can tell you about change theory and meeting a person where they are and moving them forward. You literally get to see it. And I would talk to you for an hour, so I won't. That is our general overview of what we do. It's a lot of fun. We're very excited. And if I'm going to brag for a moment, we have an excellent staff that is so exciting to see them grow and move on and do things. I'm reminded in the chat that some of our interns in the past are now doing phenomenal things, excuse me, at the national level. Lisa, what was it that Glenn was up for and presenting? She's at NHTSA now, I believe, which is the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Just killing it, presenting her work there. Go ahead, Jonathan.
So Liz, I'll chime in there because I've
Please.
actually worked with her. One of their past interns works in behavioral health at the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, really trying to bring some of behavioral science to the programming that NHTSA supports, which is really the majority of what the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration does. Grants to states for safety programs. How do you evaluate those? How do you ensure that those are prioritized appropriately? How do you bring that into the research agenda at NHTSA? So it's a hugely important position, and one that's got a tremendous amount of impact, and one that work with Lisa's group and Liz really enabled. So.
Thank you for that.
I should also take a moment to plug that Glenn is presenting at the Environmental Health Departmental Seminar in a couple of weeks. So
we are so very proud of Glenn. I spoke at the very beginning about developing professionals. We have folks with us now in a full-time capacity that's as interns. They went from an intern to a part-time role, from a full-time role once they graduated with their master's degree. This particular person, Mr. Philip Hudson, is all about data visualization, the ways in which we present data to tell the story, and it's just phenomenal. And so throughout any intern volunteer that we have, our goal is to expose them to as many of our staff as possible, so that they get that well-rounded view of injury prevention.
So is it fair to say that you would potentially develop placement kind of with the fellow? So you what you all needed, and then also what skills the fellow came in with and what their interests were?
Yeah, 100%. We always have needs. Quite frankly, students are how we get a lot of things done. Because we are 100%, but it's not worth it to us to have an intern there that are not also meeting their skills goals. So whether or not they come in with a particular skill set that would help us, but also if they see amongst our administrative tasks.
Excuse me, Liz. Liz, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but if everyone would please mute their lines, it's a little difficult to hear your response, Liz. And I know you have great things to say. So thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Yeah, so we absolutely want to develop what a student's interests are. So we're going to show them what it is that we have available, our different programs and our people, and they're going to look at something. They may look at Terry Miller's Safe Infant Sleep program and understand that she has essentially saved a classroom full of kindergartners through her work, and that might speak to them. Or, we have an admin officer right now who is truly gifted. And they might want to know more about that liaisoning and policy type stuff. And we've got a couple people that can work with them on that. So as long as your deliverables are met for your program, which is our number one goal, is to satisfy your requirements. As long as you are willing, you will be able to take on anything that you want to take on. Our goals are engagement and development of our students.
Are there questions now? We have one more SIRF fellowship to describe, but should we take a moment and see if there are any questions from you guys about this? Okay, well, I'm going to keep going and please ask questions as they arise. So the second SIRF placement that we have, also at GDPH, and this one would be located in the Drug Surveillance Unit, or the DSU, and that's within the Opioid and Substance Misuse Response Program. That's the overarching program in which this particular unit is located. And the purpose of this DSU is to monitor overdose trends in Georgia and also provide drug surveillance data to the public through that public-facing dashboard that we were just talking about, and also to partners who are working to end the opioid epidemic in the state. And, you know, as you all know, I'm sure we're seeing steep increases in overdose hospitalizations and mortality during the COVID pandemic. And so this is, I think, a particularly acute time to join a unit and support a unit like the DSU. The opportunity that they've crafted is to assist in the enhancement and implementation of Strategy 7, which pertains to providers and health systems. And this is part of the CDC's Overdose Data to Action grant. So one of the kind of really interesting parts about the overdose surveillance program at GDPH is that they're trying very hard to ensure that they move beyond surveillance to actually inform intervention. So that is what the CDC Data to Action grant is all about, just trying to link the wonderful surveillance data that they have to community action. A couple of tasks are embedded within this overarching SIRF project. The first is finalizing a report based on some emergency department data for emergency department staff who are caring for overdose patients within the state of Georgia, and also for patients with an opioid use disorder. That's what OUD stands for. The second task would be researching and recommending potential strategies to implement to assist with any gaps or needs that are identified in this report, right? So it's really centered around the development of the report and then thinking about what strategies to use to maybe address the gaps that are identified in the report. And then there might be additional tasks, including potentially completing an analytic project, which would be kind of to be determined as a part of the fellowship. And I think that this, the nature of this project would really depend on the analytic skills that people came in with. So if you came in with GIS, you might do a GIS analysis. If you came in with SAS but no GIS, you might end up analyzing surveillance data to detect different patterns across the state. So then those are the two SIRF application, or the SIRF opportunities. In terms of the application, it's online, and I think we should probably share this link later so that you all have it. The application is due in a little over a week, so it's a very quick turnaround. And the application itself, in addition to the cover letter and the transcript and the resume, we are looking for information about why you're interested in this particular fellowship and really how taking part in the SIRF fellowship might advance your professional goals. We also ask which of the two SIRF fellowships you're interested in pursuing. Are you interested in the one with the DSU, the Drug Surveillance Unit, or are you interested in the one that was described by Liz Head? So let me stop here and see if there are any questions before I turn this over. I think the next slide is going to take us to another fellowship. So let me just stop here and see what questions you guys have.
Hannah, I received a question from Shanae. Shanae, please let me know if I'm if I'm not saying your name right. Would you like to ask your question out loud?
Okay, thank you, Ashley. You're correct, it's Shanae. So basically I wanted to find out about the parameters surrounding persons who are graduating in August of this year. Are we still eligible? Because I know you had mentioned that persons who are graduating fall 2021 and beyond, those are the persons who are eligible.
That's right. So you do have to have one more semester of your MPH program. That's at least one more semester of the MPH program after the summer. So if you were graduating in August, I don't think you'd be eligible. If you were graduating in any semester after August, you would be.
Thank you.
Sure.
Also, a quick note, Hannah. I know we're going to share the link with everyone in the chat, and other ways. But please note that all of our links and applications that we are talking about today, they are on the iPrice website. If you go to iprice.emory.edu and go to the student opportunities page, you can kind of sift through all of the opportunities there and find those application links.
There we go. And I just put it in the chat. Ashley, would you be able to email maybe the slides around or the links as well to people who came?
I don't have a record of everyone's email addresses.
Right.
But I can post it on the website, and if folks want to go there after today, it will be posted online.
Okay, so this is the iPrice website, and Ashley, I'm assuming if people go into Google and they do Emory iPrice, they're going to get to the website. Okay, good.